So recently I was on the web just browsing through the Integra and trying to compare it to other cars in terms of real world performance. Now, a lot of these magazines, YouTube reviewers, they all base their performance on 0 to 60 and quarter mile times. And to be fair, this car, the Civic Si, and even the Type R, they aren't really drag racers. You know, the short gearing, especially in this car, the poor tires, and the fact that you have to do the cha-cha slide just to turn off traction control, and hopefully Honda changes that and makes it easier to turn off traction control instead of having to do this whole secret Easter egg on turning it off. I don't think they really determine performance or like the fun factor in a car. So I was just trying to browse the web and trying to find some stats on any cars. Um, you know, stats where they're testing like 30 to 70 or 40 to 80. And I actually came across a thread on Google where somebody took the time out, calculated a ton of cars going 40 to 80 and grabbing their times. So I was like, all right, this might be a good metric to use to determine how this car does in the real world. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be testing this car going 40 to 80 and just comparing the times and see where it falls compared to the other cars. I'm going to be using an app called GPS Race Timer. I've been using that for a while. It actually works really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I'll probably take my 2 best runs or 3 best runs and just average it out and see where it falls. So I'll give my best, I'll give my worst, and then we'll do an average. And then we'll see where it falls in that category. And we'll determine if the Integra is indeed slow compared to its competition.
Oh, Rich. Here's a little snapshot of the thread I'll be using, and I'll be posting a link to this thread in the description below just in case anybody wants to check it out. I want to give a big shout out to the OP for even taking the time out for putting this thread together. Scrolling down, we can see that there's a large list of cars. Now, it does contain more of the last generation cars, but I'm just looking to compare the Integra and get a better understanding of where it stands. I was a little skeptical at first of the calculations, but after going back to some of the videos I had of my own cars and comparing it to the list, it seems pretty on point. You can check that out right here. So because I don't have the best equipment to run these tests, I'm going to be using the average time versus my best time because 1, not all runs were done on the same road on the same day, and 2, I can't really verify how accurate the app I'm using is. But I can say that the app is very consistent with the times, and the reason you might see more of a variation in the 40 to 80 times might be because I had to shift right before I hit 80 or let it redline to reach 80, and that kind of messed with the times. So I felt the average time made more sense. Okay, so placing the Integra on the list at 6.4 seconds, we can see that the Integra places very well. It keeps up with cars like the Audi A4, Honda Accord Sport with the detuned Type R engine, the BMW 230i, the V6 Camry, the last gen WRX STI, even a Honda favorite, the S2000. It really paints a bigger picture for the Integra and really shows us that the Integra comes to life once it gets going. So looking at the list of cars and where the Integra stands, I'd say that the Integra is pretty impressive for a car that just has 200 horsepower and 191 pounds of torque. Now, I know there's some threads and videos out there that say that the Integra and Civic Si make more power than stated, and now it makes sense because when you look at the 0 to 60 in quarter mile times, it doesn't add up. But when you compare the Integra on a roll and you see how well it does in the real world and overtaking potential, it all seems plausible. And after looking at how well the Integra does, it makes it a more compelling daily driver and really shows you that you can't base a car's performance solely on its 0 to 60 numbers. Now, I have over 3,500 miles on the Integra, and I enjoy every single mile. It's nimble, lively, direct steering inputs, the gearbox is smooth, and has a great mechanical feel to it. It doesn't punish you at the pump if you decide to be aggressive. And out of the 3,700 miles, I'm still netting over 29 miles per gallon, which is not an easy feat when comparing it to its competition. So if you are in the market for a fun daily driver that treads the line between luxury and sport, I think the Integra deserves a look.